And welcome to VHS Showdown, where we investigate old movies from the 80s and delve into the back catalogues of the classics and not so classics and hidden gems that are out there. My name's Murph.
I am Tarby.
I'm Alan.
I am Lee.
Yes, and we're here today going into the year 1984.
1984.
And whose year was it?
It was me. It was Tarby.
And what did you pick, Tar?
That classic SUPERGIRL.
SUPERGIRL.
Yes.
Supergirl.
And why did you pick SUPERGIRL?
It's just one of those films I think that my mum had on video when I was a kid. I've seen it before when I was very young. Probably seen it in my 20s. Haven't seen it since.
Al, what about you?
Let me guess, you saw it about a year ago.
I haven't seen it since I was a wee boy, a young whippersnapper. Yeah, so it's quite nice to watch it again. I must say before I go on that I had an enormous crush on this woman as a child.
Oh, really?
Oh, it opened up a can of worms for me.
Did it? Was she one of your first crushes?
This is Helen Slater we're talking about.
Are you a fan of her when she's Supergirl or when she's Laura?
Jesus fucking
Laura?
Christ, I wish she stayed looking like Supergirl.
I prefer with dark hair, you know.
She looks good with both. So, Lee, what was your knowledge and thoughts on this film?
I had zero knowledge and I hadn't seen it. So I've gone into it with a completely open mind.
I knew this film as a kid. Didn't have it on video, but I definitely saw it on telly a couple of times as a kid. But I did have fond memories of it, and I was really looking forward to seeing it again. So let's get into it then. So, Tarby, do you want to break down a bit of the story for us?
Yeah, I'm not going to go to Alan's lengths, you'll be pleased to know.
No one can match my lengths, Tar.
Basically, this girl, she's from another planet.
She's Krypton.
No, she's not.
She is?
She's not.
She is.
Well,
isn't.
they're the survivors of Krypton, aren't they?
After Krypton was destroyed, this is a bit of Krypton that went into like a pocket dimension. It's not in space.
Made out of fucking plastic. And
I mean, I did.
Wait, how did you know that?
I didn't get that.
No, I didn't get that.
They don't really mention it too much in the film because this obviously is connected to the Superman films. Krypton was destroyed in those films, and this is like a civilization that sort of separated off.
Argo City, they call it. And it is really an animate blob on a rock. So you can't really say it's like a city or a palace or something. But
that's the worst set I've ever seen.
It is. It's poor.
But that guy made it with his magic wand.
Zoltar. So he's the founder of Argo City.
Played by
Peter O'Toole.
Peter O'Toole, yes.
Fucking cracking cast in this, by the way.
It was, way better cast than...
Jesus.
But I think they were doing that because the cast of Superman, you know, like fucking Marlon Brando, Superman's dad and everything.
Gene Hackman.
So they were like, we want a big cast like we did in Superman just to prove how serious we are about this film. And I think that was the idea.
I don't think they were serious about this.
Well, I think they were to start with. After they'd sort of started production, the studio got involved and they just slashed 30 minutes out of the film.
I'm a slasher and I must be stopped.
And they were meddling behind the scenes and stuff, Warner Brothers.
Do you know the connection between this film and another favourite from VHS Showdown, Somewhere in Time?
Yes. He's the director,
It's
isn't
the
he?
same director as Somewhere in Time. I think the guy who directed the Star Trek movie, I think, was going to be the director. And then he turned it down, couldn't do it. And then Christopher Reeves recommended the guy who directed Somewhere in Time, which he must not have seen Somewhere in Time when he recommended it.
Fuck off. So they get right into it. You have a conversation going on between Zoltar and Supergirl. He's like kind of, I might go travelling. But he's talking about going off to Saturn or Venus or...
Uranus?
But yet he's colonised the fucking rock.
Yeah.
You know, he could have colonised better. He makes a tree out of his little wand and she questions it and he says, they call it a tree on Earth.
You mean where my cousin went?
There's a lot of exposition in that.
There is, that's the word.
She's Superman, Kal-El.
Cousin.
So you got Zoltar and he's got this little ball thing. What was it
The
called?
Omegahedron.
An omegahedron.
You've got an omegahedron.
It's one of two sources of power on their planet.
He's fucking reckless with that thing.
It's willy-nilly. He's
chucking
holding
it
their reality together.
He's chucking it around.
He's got it in his pocket. He's nicked it.
He kicks it across the floor.
He, to be fair, is such a thespian as well, isn't he? You can tell he's like such a stage actor that he is so fucking hammy with everything.
He is. She's like, you'll go somewhere. He's like, zip zap, and I'm gone.
Zip zap and I'm gone.
He's amazing though.
So yeah, they've got the megahedron. He's been very cavalier with it.
Very haphazard. But anyway, he loans his wand to Kara and he's kind of like, go on child, go free and use your imagination. And fucking hell, considering she's never seen one, she imagines a perfect dragonfly.
Yeah.
And then uses this wand to bring it to life, where this dragonfly then runs amok and penetrates the city's defences by flying through what looks like a crepe paper window.
It's not even that, is it? It's like fucking.
I mean, he's
cling film or something.
He's finding this place, and he had fucking sugar paper for a window.
Yeah. And considering it's the fucking void outside, you know what I mean? They should definitely have made it a bit more sturdy than it was.
I didn't think about that, actually. But what you're saying, the fact that he could have built that city anywhere, in any fucking realm or on any planet, he puts it in a place that is so dangerous that it would wipe him out entirely.
And he knows, because they talk about it, that if he built it on Earth, they'd all have superpowers because they're Kryptonians.
Just what the fuck?
So just move to Earth.
So the dragonfly's gone nuts, and then the Omegahedron sees its chance and fucks off through this hole and into the void. Zoltar then gets confronted by all of his city dwellers, and he's kind of like, alright, cool, I've done it, I'll go to the Phantom Zone.
He literally tries himself.
I've lost the Omegahedron. I must be sent to the Phantom Zone.
I'm sure you might, if you plead innocent or accidental damage, you might be alright.
You got to plead incompetence
Well,
with me.
who's he answering to?
None of them seem quite bothered when he says it. Like, alright, yeah. Fine. I think he could have stayed. I don't think any of them would have minded if he had done. Maybe he was just like clinically depressed and he just wanted to get out of there.
Well, while this banter's going on anyway, Supergirl sees her chance and she climbs up into their one and only means of transport. She goes flying through space and time. They sort of use a similar sort of effect as what they did in the Superman film. You see all time and space around her and contorting and things like that. And then pans away, gives you a nice shot of outside her little globe that she's travelling in. And when it cuts back, she has a woman's haircut. She's wearing a Supergirl costume, which I just find a bit fucking what. But then I thought back and I was like, well,
maybe now you're older, you're a bit more cynical.
Well, it's Marvel, really. They've done it. Like most people have got their suits made or have done something, you know what I mean? And this guy, what is his thing? Where does this suit come from? Why does he have it just because he's from another planet? I accepted it with him, but now I'm just like, well, hang on, this is getting silly. Does everybody come from that planet just get a free set of clothes? Including cape.
Yeah, I think in the comics, it is some Kryptonian suit that they wear, isn't it?
Is it like the symbol for hope or some shit?
Thinking maybe the first movie, he might have the patch with him, but it is never explained.
Isn't he wrapped in it?
Also, like tin foil, like the thing they stick around you when you finish a marathon.
So she appears and she's like fully dressed as.
Yeah, as Supergirl. So basically,
looking splendid. Sorry.
I mean, I'm glad you explained about this void thing because I thought she was in space, and I'm still not 100% sure now. But lo and behold, she's in a globe just going through wherever, turns into Supergirl, and then she comes out of a pond or a small lake.
Yeah.
That was a cardboard cutout, wasn't it? They used a cardboard cutout.
Did they?
Did they? And pulled it out of the water.
I watched it back and forward, man, in slow motion to see what happened to her hair and everything.
It's literally a photo of her glued to a bit of cardboard.
Did you look that up?
Special effects are poor throughout.
I don't know, I quite like that. I had a bit of defeat. I was like, I don't know how they've done that.
She masters her powers incredibly quick.
Well, that's why they cut the 30 minutes out.
Oh, right.
From when she comes out of the water,
there's
like about half an hour's footage taken out from that chunk there. Because when they did test screenings, people were like, this is shit. You need to sort it out. So they took that out.
Because there's lots of her floating around the lake, isn't there, and smelling the flower.
It's like 20 seconds of her getting used to it, and then she's full on bosh, she's away.
Yeah.
So she's fucked off out of the water, she's come out, she's learned her skills, she's flown around a bit, and basically the Omegahedron, she's followed it to Earth. She has a little bracelet thing that flashes. It's like a little sat-nav, a very primitive one.
Tracking device.
It flashes stronger when she's getting near, so it's kind of led her to the Omegahedron, which has also gone to Earth, and we find it landing in a bowl of what I think is hummus.
It landed in a witch's picnic.
This is like the coincidence, isn't it?
It's coincidence in the whole film. It's coincidence after coincidence.
So of all the people it could land, it lands with a fucking witch and her flatmate that she lives with.
Her mate is like in the wrong film or something. She's like, but she's running with it.
Was it Faye Dunaway who plays? Yeah. So like, can you be in this film? She's like, yeah, but I've got to bring my mate.
That's
you know what I mean? That's what it feels like.
I gotta say, I fucking
she
loved
was the
those
best.
two.
She was
Her
mate was the best bit about it.
She knew that this film was shit and it was all bollocks.
Yeah.
She kind of like,
Was she in the Golden Girls? I saw that she was in it, but I didn't see what she was in it. I don't know whether or not she was.
She wasn't one of the main.
She wasn't one of the main ones.
She's in Murder, She Wrote, isn't she?
That's the sort of thing she does.
Yeah,
then.
she would be in shit like that, wouldn't she?
Yeah.
Faye Dunaway's character was originally going to be played by Dolly Parton.
Yes.
Well, they asked her, didn't they? But she didn't want to be a witch. She didn't want to portray a witch.
She got quite a big Christian following, and she's a big Christian herself.
She's got big salmon.
She has got a big salmon, and she would have been very good as well. Dolly Parton.
Love a bit of Dolly.
Yeah.
Yeah, love a bit of Dolly.
She'd been in her prime this time as well. It pissed me off as much as the bit in Spider-Man 3 where Venom
lands near the fucking bike.
lands
Yeah,
next to
that's
fucking Spider-Man's bike.
stupid.
It's like lazy fucking writing.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
That's just lazy writing.
So basically, the Megahedron lands in this hummus, but the people having this picnic are a witch and this guy called Nigel, played by Peter Cook, who is teaching her black magic whilst trying to get his end away. When she nicks the car and drives off, there's a little radio report on there. I don't know if anybody heard, but it's just mentioning that Superman has agreed to broker a peace deal on a planet about 200 million miles away.
They're explaining why he's off world.
yeah,
Basically,
Just to
why
get him out
doesn't
of the way.
Superman get involved?
Yeah.
There he is, he's gone.
He's gone.
Yeah, well, he was originally going to be in the film, wasn't he?
Was he?
Yeah, he originally was supposed to cameo in it, but he saw the script, didn't like the direction it was going.
Christopher
in,
was
and
like, fuck this.
oh, mate.
He'd done Somewhere in Time.
Yeah, well,
Will you
exactly.
stop bad mouthing Somewhere in Time?
But that was too much.
Sick of it.
But it's kind of annoying, that radio report, because I'm like, oh, Superman's off doing something way more interesting than this movie. He's off negotiating with some alien race.
Well, we didn't know what was going to happen. I mean, I was still holding out hope at this point in the film. I thought, like, there was something endearing and early 80s-y about this, because you think, like, when we watched Elvira, it was similar in quality, but because it was later in the 80s, it was almost like made it shitter. But because this is earlier and it feels more charming, for a while I was watching this film, I was like, I'm going to get on board with this, I think.
Yeah, you can forgive a lot, because it's 84.
But I could only forgive it for so long.
So cut back to Supergirl. She's sort of like flying into town, finding her feet. She's still dressed as Supergirl, but then bumps into two would-be attackers.
Still, everyone in the 80s is a rapist.
But did you see who the one
Yes.
rapist was? It's the dad from
yeah.
Honey, I Shrunk the
From
Kids.
Kids, yeah.
And he's dressed exactly the fucking same.
Do you reckon it was the same character?
Same person.
You like to imagine that he was a rapist when
Well,
he
no,
was
I don't
younger?
like to imagine that. I'm trying to connect the films into some
They
sort
just,
of 80s.
all the rapists in the 80s are bizarre. Like the ones that are RoboCop. Do you know what I mean? They're like, what? They're like,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like
yeah,
fucking
it's-
mental.
That whole scene is very like, ugh.
Which he blows the one across the road first, and then the other one's like,
Wait,
wait a minute. So she blows the one across the road with her ice breath, and then the other one's like, yeah, well, like that was like a normal thing, and like pulls a knife
yeah,
out.
yeah, yeah.
So then she lasers the fucking knife out of his hands. He's like, oh, you went it rough there. It's like he's not shocked or intimidated at all by this bizarre use of superpowers.
And she's dressed like a female Superman. He
Yeah.
obviously knows who Superman is because they reference it. She's displaying superpowers, yet he continues upon this,
He was going to go mono with her.
He was-
He was going to use fucking Queensbury rules on her after seeing his mate being fucking shot across the
But
street by a mouth.
She picks him up by his jaw. Like,
Just his jaw.
Just his jaw off the ground.
Shattered.
She kicks that other guy in the nuts so hard that he makes like 5-6 foot of air. That would have killed him.
that
As
would
much
have
chair as you get on your trampoline.
Well, no, not that way. But it's, you know the bit where she's flying at the beginning? That's very much like me on that trampoline.
Fucking hell.
So the next day, she sort of wakes up in the middle of nature.
With a bunny rabbit.
Yes, she's just crashed. She's snoozing. She's fine. She's loving life. She wakes up to the noise of some kids playing hockey, and she looks through this hedge, and she spots basically schoolgirls. So she uses, again, a power I didn't know they had, but I guess it kind of makes sense. She walks behind a hedge and comes out dressed identically in their uniform.
And her hair changes colour as well.
And
which is
style.
Like a chameleon.
Yeah.
She looks
I
a bit
don't know
like
what it
Katy
is
Perry.
about Helen Slater,
Yeah.
but she looked like she had an older woman's face trying to break through or something.
in Secret of My Success. She did. She looked
Yeah.
like 80.
She looks weird.
She sounds so posh.
I was wondering if you could tell me where I am.
Is she in Secret of My Success?
Yeah, she's the woman in Secret
woman.
of My Success.
Yeah, she's the
She's
girl,
the love interest.
the love interest in it.
Gee, I don't ever. Yeah.
In
How
Secret
did
of
you
My
not see
Success, I thought she was playing like the part of like
Princess Di.
a proper like plum in the
lady.
mouth. Like, a plum in the mouth.
You'd like a plum in the mouth.
She's a bit
Is that what
horsey.
it is?
Is that what you say? It looks
Yeah,
like she
but-
was horse ride.
But in Supergirl, she sounds exactly the fucking same. So she couldn't have been playing that. Is that just the way she talks?
Yes, hello.
Plum in mouth.
My name is Supergirl. She's played Superman's mum, hasn't she? I think
Recently.
It was the Supergirl
The
series.
Supergirl series, was it?
Yeah.
So she's had various sort of parts in that. I never really watch it, but you do have the whole sort of Supergirl TV series now as part of the Arrowverse, I think. It's supposed to be quite
Quite a
good.
few
like that.
seasons in now, though, so they've got to be getting commissioned to do.
What they've done with all that, they have all connected it. They did their first sort of Crisis on Infinite Earth.
Is it out?
Yeah. But in the Flash TV series, I mean, it's massive and it's not really so big over here.
Yeah.
But the DC TV stuff, and they have done like big crossover events. Yeah, they have Michael Keaton playing Batman in it. Yeah, Brandon Routh returning as Superman. I think they might have even had Dean Cain from Lois and Clark in there as well.
That's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
He wasn't built like Superman, was he, Dean Cain?
Nah. Terry Hatcher was good. Lois Lane. Though.
Such a lovely skin-tight uniform she has as Supergirl.
I mean,
My God.
she's got a very flattering figure.
Oh my God.
She's an attractive lady.
I quite
so
liked
anyway-
her boots.
Yes, they were good. Those
The costume's well made. To be fair, like, you know, as a woman's option to Superman, it works.
Chinese sweatshop going on there. Like.
No, it's a good quality costume. That.
So she sees these school kids, she morphs into their uniform and goes wandering into the school where she meets the headmaster. He asks her name. She flusters, she hasn't thought of one. She looks at a painting of General Robert E. Lee and she just quickly goes, right, I'm Lee, and then plucks Linda out of nowhere. Don't know how she thought of that one.
Why didn't she just keep Kara? Like, who fucking knows?
Yeah.
No one who she is.
Yeah, no.
She didn't need to change her hair colour either, really.
No,
that's it. Nobody knows. She didn't fucking daft.
But anyway, yeah, she becomes Linda Lee.
The teacher
The teacher bursts in as she's meeting the headmaster and distracts him, and that's Peter Cook.
He happens to be there as well.
So she meets the headmaster, he asks her if he's got a letter of approval, then Peter Cook bursts in, takes him out, and while he's out, she fakes this letter from Clark Kent.
The thing is, though, she got no idea about human society. How would she know the niceties and the sort of structure of a letter to a principal informing him of a new school student? How does she pick that up?
That's a great question.
Do you know what I mean? She sits there and he writes it convincingly enough.
How did you pick any of it up?
She's
just got there.
You can see how quick they've done the exposition on other things, and then there are some things like that they must have just thought, bollocks.
Fuck, it's a kids' film.
Nobody's going to ask that question.
Yeah, they're fucking wrong.
Yeah, exactly. Who knew that, like, 30 odd years later?
I'm sure people were asking these questions in the 80s, I think.
But yeah, either way, I don't think it's explained, and you're just supposed to take it for granted that she's super smart, so she's done it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, she's super smart because you see her do that equation, doesn't she?
5,271,009,010.
Which they set up on her home planet.
I know the equations. I just can't see them in my head.
And then she gets to Earth, and obviously she's smarter. So
a nice little callback.
Yeah, So anyway, she's accepted into school, and
she happens to be roommates with fucking Lois Lane's sister.
Yes, that's it.
Lucy Lane.
Coincidence.
Yeah. What'd you say about her? She's a rapscallion, isn't she?
Well, she's definitely not 16 or 17 years old in this film. She's like 40 or something, and she is
originally
she's got a mature haircut.
Yes.
Well, Demi Moore auditioned for Supergirl.
And Brooke Shields.
Hello, Brooke Shields.
They offered Demi Moore the role of Lois Lane's sister.
She reminds me of like a 1930s gangster's mold.
Isn't she from Grease 2 or something?
Yeah.
There's that weird bit where she's fucking putting a bra on, and it's like half a joke that goes on for part of a scene. She's like stuffing it with stuff, and like it's not really mentioned or.
And it doesn't really make any sense either. She's just seen the Lois Lane's sister put hers on as well.
And she's got boobs.
Yes.
Yes, yeah, she does.
Certainly does.
That's a bit of a weird throwaway bit, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
And then the other interesting thing is that Kara says that she's Clark Kent's cousin as well. So she must know that Clark Kent is Superman, because why is she saying that she's his cousin as well as... Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it's a real He-Man, She-Ra thing, isn't it? Yeah, they're related, and she's always Supergirl. When she's Supergirl, she's Superman's cousin.
You what?
Didn't He-Man and She-Ra?
He-Man and She-Ra fucked. They're brother and sister.
Are they cousins?
No, they're brother and sister, aren't
They
they?
definitely didn't fuck, Alan.
Not
Kids show.
kids show, anyway.
What the fuck? The other thing is, the clock's ticking here. Her planet is fucking dying. And she enrolls in school.
She's playing hockey. They hit the ball at her so hard that when it hits her and it explodes. Imagine how hard they'd hit that. Because if it had hit a wall, it would have exploded. You know what I mean?
I mean, the whole thing of her going to school, she's a waste of her time. She doesn't even need a secret identity. She should have just been Supergirl, and she's got this
the job
bracelet.
done.
Straight to the object and fucked off.
She is procrastinating.
She is.
It just cuts back again to Selena and her little henchwoman who's driving her about.
But before you tell us about that, why do they live in a ghost train? They live in a ghost train. What?
Well, I think if you're gonna get a personality across quick,
That's mad.
well, there you go.
They live in a ghost train.
That was my favourite bits about this as a kid, was the fact that they lived in that ghost train.
And I mean, the thing is that you think that they just
bad.
made a front room or something, but there's a kitchen in there as well.
But they dress really fabulous and stuff all the time as well, don't they?
They have like parties all the time, and
I loved them. I fucking loved those two. I thought they were great. I loved all of that sort of like
it's mad.
black magic-y, satanic-y shit. I thought it was great.
There would be a really good 80s crossover chance there for a film about them two and Elvira in some sort of like, you know,
witch hunt
battle. Then they team up. Do you know what I mean? That'd be a film I would like to see. That'd be fantastic.
So Selena's henchwoman is driving her around. They pull up at some lights, and the driver spots this gardener who's doing some work. But the Omega Hedron, she's got it kept in a little dragon vessel.
Which is getting bigger.
It does, it grows. So anyway, she's looking around and this ball starts going crazy and she's like, oh, what could it mean? And then she looks out the window and spots the gardener and the ball's like, yeah,
He's a
you've
real
got
hunk.
He is a fucking hunk.
Does anybody recognise who he is?
I did. I was watching for 5 minutes like, oh God.
I didn't realise till after I'd seen it the first time.
Who is it?
It's fucking Ellis from Die Hard.
I'm your white knight.
Is it?
Yeah.
No fucking
Yeah, man.
way.
Because I was thinking, why he's such
It's
a
his
douchebag,
mouth.
and I was
His
like,
mouth.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
wouldn't have got that.
he's got
Yeah.
he's got a beard and dad, hasn't he?
Yeah, but it's his mouth. He's got like that little like.
Die Hard was only a year after this.
It was 2 years.
2 years. But he's brilliant in fucking Die Hard.
He is.
Didn't
he's
they ask John
cracking.
Travolta?
No,
to
well, maybe
take
that's-
this as well?
Yes, he did.
John
yeah.
Travolta was offered that role,
Yeah.
and you can kind of see it because he has got that. Yeah,
But
he's
he's a poor man's Fonz, isn't he? He's like the shittest
he's so
Fonz
crap.
ever.
He's like Rocky, because she's like, come in, wet your whistle. He's like, yeah, matter of fact, don't mind if I do.
he's got a fucking match in his mouth.
And a vest. He's a brawler.
Stereotypical 80s hunk, wouldn't he? That's
So before you continue, like, this is up to the point where everyone's on board, and this is the most bizarre direction a story's ever gone in. The whole story is about her falling in love with this fucking gardener who's like 30, who's in love with the schoolgirl, so she wants to fight the schoolgirl because she wants the gardener. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
That's the rest of the film.
It is
It's
the
what?
storyline, yeah.
And he's got no personality.
He's not even that handsome. He's, you know what I mean, he's just some bloke.
He spends 90% of the film knocked out. As we go through it, he's knocked out like 8 times. It's like the writers didn't know what to do with him.
Well,
So
look,
fucking knock
let's
him out.
work through this practically, right? Let's just take it back to being one woman's loins, okay? She's sat in the house.
Ooh.
She concocts a love potion and drugs him with it. She lures him in under the false pretense of some work, paid work.
paid work
It's a cool potion, that as well. I remember that as a kid
Yeah.
with the spider in the shell.
in the shell.
Yeah, that's real cool. That.
You want to hear something really fucking nerdy? I'm pretty sure that when she picks that spider off the web, you hear it go like, "Whew."
Off his web?
It makes a real weird little noise, right? This is going to be fucking bizarre for you. You're going to be like, what the fuck? But I'm pretty sure it's the same sound effect they use in Superman 3 when everything goes fucking mental and cash machines start giving out money. And I just think it's cool. They might have a Superman sound effects library.
Fuck's sake.
His web?
So she spikes the gardener's beer once she gets him in the ghost house. And yeah.
She's pretty full on there as well, isn't she? She's laying it on thick.
He's as thick as the bloke out of fucking
I mean,
Elvira. He's like
we can
oblivious to her
We can talk
advances.
about that now, though, but I mean, he's probably getting cracked on all the time. He is set up to be the hunk, whether we think he is or
Yeah,
not.
but I mean,
So
like,
maybe
if
he's
you're
like-
a single guy gardener, Faye Dunaway's looking pretty good in this. Do you know
He'd be
what I mean?
slinging dick, wouldn't he?
Well, do you know what I mean? I think I would not need that love potion to get those hints. Do you know what I mean? She was dropping.
He is just fully Danny Zuko, isn't he?
He's a douche. He's a real douche.
He's
like.
just so fucking grease ball, like whatever. Yeah, lady, whatever, like.
So she's got the love potion, she spiked him, he's drank it, he kind of passes out, it's a little acidy for him, I think. He goes on a little wander.
She gets distracted
by Nigel turns up, wearing that fantastic suit.
Full leather grey suit. It was fucking mad, that suit.
He's
It
like,
was
it's a leisure suit.
yeah. He looked so weird in it though.
But I mean, that was the idea though, that he looked weird. She was ripping him about it.
And he had those weird old man socks on, right? That are like really thin, like those really thin socks. Like, do you know what I mean? When you pull up like a pair of socks,
Oh, what, as high as they can go?
not with like sock braces.
Yeah.
I do want a pair of sock braces, by the way. That'd be fucking fantastic. But no, he had those really thin socks that when you pull them all the way up, you can kind of see through them and see like skin. And like old man, like white skin is bad against a grey sock.
sock
like,
watch.
Really, it's weird.
I don't
It's
remember
so
seeing that
weird.
much of his
No,
leg.
I think you might have fabricated this detail.
No,
Like you fabricated a love scene and fucking
honestly,
something about
check
time.
out his socks because they are those thin old man socks.
Okay.
And they
Checking out
and they're
sock
fucking
watch.
they are
Sock
like
watch.
oh they're so weird. No, I don't like
Not a fan of the socks.
Fucking hell.
Well, anyway, when he turns up, he's trying to tell her that he's got this wand that is really powerful as well, and that with both she'd be sort of unstoppable, but she's not interested in hearing him out. Gives him some sort of acne or skin condition, and then he's like, I haven't got a skin condition, and then he looks at himself and says, back.
the bitch.
Bitch.
Oh, that's funny.
Bitch.
The bitch.
She's unnecessarily harsh, this girl. Well, I mean, she's burning his advantage.
She just knows what she wants.
They're
and he
both
was-
practicing in black magic. I think that's to be expected, isn't it?
But he's saying that she doesn't know enough, does she?
He's like, you don't know anything. Look in my mirror. There's a demon in it.
Oh, yeah.
What?
Oh, yeah. Oh, she has that party, doesn't she?
She does.
Which has Howard Jones playing. It's like, what is love? Put that, find
Yeah.
He got a big nod in this, he got 2 tunes in it. And
He's
he
got
gets,
a big what?
nod.
So when they have the party, like her and Peter Cook have their first sort of like lovers tiff. He shows her that reflection of that demon or whatever, and then he goes off and starts talking to this other bird. And he's like, sort of like trying it on with her, and she's eating something, and the thing he turns it into a fucking scorpion.
Yeah.
And she eats it. It's like a scorpion stings her, and then she levitates her upside down.
Spins on her head.
Spins around the room.
She's wearing bloomers.
She was.
So I know that I know her from something else.
It's not going to be from the intro of Superman 3, is it?
Yeah.
Actually, I think it is. It's her voice and those glasses. Like she's.
I think she fucking is, isn't she?
If she's going to be in anything, she's going to be in Superman 3 because it came after Superman 3.
Yeah, I think that's the connection, isn't it? And that she's a cameo in it, but I think you're right.
It's just in this, they've done her up to look like a real dit, so she does look a bit different, but the voice is a dead giveaway, and I just can't be 100%. So she suddenly finds, I think she just sort of says, like,
Where is he?
and basically something happens in the mirror.
Because he's staggered off Para, hasn't he?
He's like wandering through and he's semi-tripping. You wouldn't want that, would you? If you were like off your tits, you would not want to be stumbling around in a ghost house.
He does not bat an eyelid.
But he's like, oh, there's a skeleton arm.
It's too stupid to be scared.
Well, yeah, he's still off his head on her potion, but he miraculously hasn't seen any women yet.
He hasn't seen anything. He's been walking through town.
But like, despite the fact that everybody in town is going, "Hey mate,
Yeah.
get off the road."
He's causing havoc everywhere.
Didn't even think of that, actually. Yeah, of course.
He hasn't looked up
He's not
once.
seen- yeah, of course.
So basically, everybody rushes out from the diner where they're all eating. Lucy and Jimmy Olsen.
fucking Jimmy Olsen's in
Jimmy
this as well.
Olsen.
So it turns out Jimmy Olsen is dating Lois Lane's sister.
A schoolgirl.
Kind of,
A
yeah.
schoolgirl. Yeah,
But
he's
let's
a
talk
grown
about
adult
it.
that
So
works
he's-
at a paper.
Yeah,
Let's
so he's
talk
going
about
out
this,
with a
yeah.
schoolgirl, yeah.
What age
Finished
are they
late.
supposed to be in this in America? They're 17 or something?
No, I
16, 17?
don't know. I think it's the same as England, isn't it?
No,
No,
they finish school when they're 18, I think.
When like, we go to college, they're still in high school, I think. Isn't it?
Yeah, something like that.
I think they just leave when we leave college, don't they? It's just an extra couple of years.
They could be 17, but still.
Right,
it
so
ain't
Superman was filmed in 1978. This is 1984, so we're looking at least 5.5 years. Jimmy Olsen was a photographer then.
He's got to be mid-20s.
It does make him, even if he's a young photographer, he's still got to be way older
It's
than
very
her.
odd.
And why is he dating a schoolgirl? He's the photographer
That's the
of
whole
Superman.
point, that's what I'm on about.
He is Superman's official
Well,
photographer.
that's obviously his thing, isn't it?
Well, I was going to say
Do you
that
reckon he's
because
into all
When he-
dodgy
they
photos?
bump into Linda, don't they? And he's like, "Hi, Jimmy Olsen, photographer." Do you
Well,
walk up and go like, "Hi,
Do you think
I'm called my
Lois
chef."
Lane's quite a strong woman, and Superman wouldn't be happy about this. He'd be like, "You were dating a fucking school. What the fuck are you doing?"
Superman would know.
He would know, wouldn't he? Maybe Superman's
He's a few hundred million miles away.
Maybe that's the kind of
light
shit
years.
goes on this planet.
Maybe.
She strikes me as the type as well who would eat a lot of like bubble gum.
I think you're going to say something else.
Yeah, and she looks very 50s.
You're that guy over there.
Do you know what I mean? Like it's like really
You
like.
work for the Daily Planet, eh?
Oh, what a scoop, huh?
And, they just look like they should be in Greece.
A roommate.
Cast.
Yeah.
Proper like college
Yeah.
looking.
Well, everyone in Greece is like 40.
Yeah.
But they're playing
yeah,
school
yeah.
children.
So Selena the witch manages to bewitch some sort of digger. So this digger's after him, after this guy, the gardener, and eventually gets his man. He gets clamped up in its jaws.
The worst chase in the history of film, by the way. That is terrible.
There's like two cars that crash into each other. They would have crashed
The
anyway.
whole-
They're like,
the
they're both
whole
going head
town-
on.
The whole town goes like fucking just literally
Bananas.
explodes. There's cars fucking flying everywhere. There's a petrol station that gets taken out with a giant tyre on there that like starts rolling and knocks someone else out. They drop the petrol pump, fucking a pile of tyres set on fire for fucking no reason. It's carnage.
It is.
It's carnage.
You could say that was part of the spell, though.
But he was stumbling down the fucking road like it
Like
was
a
just
drunk.
madness. It was madness. It was going
I mean, let's
so
be
slow.
honest though. I mean, this was the big action scene, wasn't it?
It's fucking fast.
They had 10 grand budget.
All filmed on Pinewood.
Yeah, was it?
They
Oh,
built the
yeah,
entire.
right.
They built
Really?
that entire town in Pinewood.
No way. It is poorly directed. It's a poorly directed film, isn't it?
Yeah.
You bear in mind 84, bear in mind the other films that have come out before that. What, fucking Ghostbusters came out, what, that year?
Yeah. Fucking Empire Strikes Back came
In
out 4
fuck's
years
sake,
before
do you know
this.
what I mean? You're telling me this is the best you could do?
I really do feel though that it was the My Little Pony, it was the She-Ra. Do you know what I mean? This is Superman for girls. And
Yeah,
don't forget,
yeah,
Superman was 5 years old on the big screen then.
Yeah.
So that's a long time to even wait to be like, let's have a female version.
Yeah, they clearly didn't put as much.
Well, I
Somebody
think
thought
and
they, like-
Superman 3 just flopped just before this.
Oh yes, didn't they constrain the budget because of that?
Yeah.
I think so. The budget was going to be a lot higher.
Well, that's just
And
a fucking great film.
Well, maybe we get to review it one day. So yeah, so Supergirl saves him, and she pulls the thing off the digger, doesn't she?
Yeah, the bucket, and she flies away with it.
Oh, she flies it to the side of a lake.
And then she gets him out, and then they're having this real passionate moment, and it's kind of like she's just about to kiss him because he's seen her now, but she introduces herself as Linda Lee, so he's in love with the schoolgirl.
Oh yeah, that's it. When he gets out, he sees her with the dark hair.
Yeah, so she's got 24 hours of him, you know.
Don't they kiss then though? At that
Yeah,
point?
they do.
And he just kisses her, which is like, come on.
He's like 30 or something.
Yeah,
Right?
she's
I
a
mean,
fucking
she wasn't
schoolgirl.
exactly pushing back, so
And in real life, she was 24.
absolutely frothing at the gills.
Supergirls.
Nice, nice.
Lovely. Well, so anyway,
There is
so
an actual XXX version of Supergirl as well.
Is there?
Supergirl porn, yeah. I've not seen it. It actually came up when I was searching for Supergirl on the Fire Stick.
Whoops.
so anyway, they just had a little kiss, but
Lois Lane's sister spots it, doesn't she?
Yeah, she's looking through. Oh, during the chase, she manages to climb into the bulldozer to try and steer it out of trouble.
And she's knocked herself out.
And she knocks herself out.
People get
Lucy
knocked
Lane.
out all over the place in this film.
yeah,
But she wakes
reckless
up.
that was, really. I mean, she got in above her head, didn't she?
Could she operate heavy machinery?
Well, the thing is, though, I
Had
think
she taken some Lemsip? We don't know.
We don't know.
I think she might have been able to stop it if it wasn't bewitched.
Oh.
Do you know what I mean? Because you know, it would have been easy enough to stop, I reckon. But it had a mind of its own, didn't it?
Okay.
A mind of a man.
So yeah, so basically, no, it was.
It was more like a mind of a dog or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, so the gardener's now met their alter ego and they part ways, and she goes back to her dormitory. But just when she's sort of sat on her bed, just chilling out nice and quiet, we hear this little bit of thunder approaching, and I think Selena's starting to conjure this
As an
beast.
invisible monster.
What is it?
Oh,
Because she's
yeah,
jealous
giant
that
poltergeist.
this bloke she fancies has fallen in love with a schoolgirl.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's the rest of the film.
And she's kind of testing her powers as well, isn't she?
Yeah, it's because she does get better with them as the film goes on, doesn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, she's doing some serious
and
shit.
that-
Oh,
and that-
she's conjuring a lot of shit.
The thing that the ball's in started to look real fucking crazy at this
Yeah.
point. I remember that as a kid, being one of the bits of like, oh fuck, that's really weird.
It does
Seeing
look
these,
odd,
like,
doesn't it?
Sentient
It's like a big
What's a dragon?
silver dragon thing, isn't it?
I don't know if it is. I think it's actually a demon because it's got a
Yeah.
pentagram on its head.
And near the end, it's actually got tits. If you look at it, it's
Yeah.
got tits.
Demons have got tits, is that what you're telling
But
me?
yeah,
Alive, yeah.
yeah.
That's what you're telling me.
It's debauchery, isn't it?
A lot of.
Satan was supposed to have a massive ice cold dick,
what's
wasn't
the one
he?
from The
It's got three
Exorcist?
dicks.
What's the one from
Pazuzu.
Pazuzu? That's supposed to have like a snake dick. Pazuzu has a snake dick.
Do you want to see my Pazuzu?
Well, demons are quite sexual, aren't they? And they feed into that sort of.
I want tits and a snake dick.
Snake dick.
Snaky
on
dick.
my fucking demon tits.
So,
So
I
anyway,
think it's actually Baphomet, isn't it?
Baphomet
I think
is
it's
the one
an
in
actual,
this, yeah.
It's actually
Is it?
a statue of
so,
Baphomet.
yeah,
because
yeah.
towards the end there's a statue of Baphomet as well, but I think that box is because of the pentagram on the head.
well, that was the bit that I thought was quite cool because, like, obviously Superman and Supergirl come from like a science fiction type of fantasy, but combining it with the magical in this, I thought was actually quite cool. And that was one of the cooler ideas was the fact that this science fiction artifact was actually like affecting the supernatural. And I thought that was quite cool. Though the two were like magic probably is science we haven't.
to be fair, I didn't think about it that deeply, but it does make sense and it is cool.
it's good.
I do like all that satanic stuff in it. It's fucking great. I loved that. It was real cool.
Yeah, they do that well in the 80s. It's where you'd be the satanic panic with going on in America and all that. wouldn't it?
So basically, she's looking out of a window and approaching is this invisible beast. It's kind of like a bit Stranger Things, like the first season. It's a lot of lightning and some outlines, but you don't really sort of see.
There's some cool scenery being destroyed by this invisible thing. I think it was quite effective. Special
They
effects.
do
for
do
that,
it
I
all right,
thought.
don't they?
The way they do the car.
Yeah.
I couldn't help thinking it was more to do with budget.
It was invisible.
I've got no money for this month to make it a fucking big invisible
Well, I
poltergeist.
didn't-
But it's
I
fine.
didn't mind that.
A bit
Yeah.
like not seeing the shark in Jaws. I think it's actually fine. It worked
Yeah.
well.
And look, almost what the Duffer Brothers have done with Stranger Things. It's like, is the first series, is that something that would inspire them a little bit?
Well, if you did the whole
Because that's set in the same year, I think, isn't it? No,
and
83
also you got the whole
first.
them living in a pocket dimension. You know, like it's very much on the upside down, I guess, isn't it? You can see some
Never seen it.
parallels. You're being a twat about strange things.
You're being
you
a
need to
twat
watch
about
it.
a lot of things.
It's you're doing a podcast about the fucking 80s and you refuse to watch Stranger Things, which is just.
I don't refuse to watch Stranger Things.
Oh, you're gonna
He
watch it.
refused,
just
he
haven't
refused
sat
to
down
post on our page as well.
I
This is
refuse
the-
to do that.
This is the man. So happily, she manages to defuse this beast with a lightning-charged lamppost.
And how did she know that was going to fucking work with the lamp post?
It was quite literally a shot in the dark.
Yeah, it's like she can blast fucking laser beams out of her eyes, and she's flying up into the sky with a lamppost to make it get struck by lightning a few times, and then blast it. That's madness.
I bet that will go on for ages though if you put that in your garden.
It would.
There was a battery that they created in like Oxford or Cambridge or something that's never stopped working.
Oh, fucking hell.
Has anyone ever seen that? It was like one of the first batteries that they ever made.
Perpetual energy.
Yeah, and it's never stopped. They reckon that it's got so much power in it that it will go for like another couple of thousand years.
Oh, fucking hell.
It's fucking mad.
Battery watch.
Speaking of watches, after this little victory, her watch starts glowing, basically telling her Selina's got the globe out of the box again.
That was a good segue out there.
That was, everyone was admiring that.
When it's right, it's right.
People have been, this is fucking scripted.
Not a chance. So anyway, her watch, a little sat-nav starts going off on her arm. It cuts away to her arriving at the fairground that Selina lives in. And just when she's getting close, you hear this little rustle in the background. You're like, fuck, what's going on? Out pops the stalker gardener. He's still under the spell, and he's got himself a box of heart-shaped chocolates.
And some flowers as well. Real stereotypical like 80s.
He's getting fucking creepy now, though, doesn't he? He's like, I got a heart for my heart.
He looks like one of the guys, you know, to catch a predator when someone's he was like, had the sort of shit they would have on there.
He'd be fucked.
He'd be like, take a seat.
You bought some flowers and a pack of chocolates. What are you expecting to happen tonight? Yeah, very, very odd.
But it's all explained away by the fact he's under a spell, so what can you do?
Is he quoting like Shakespeare or something whilst he's under the spell? Because I was trying to figure out whether or not that is actually some sort of like Shakespearean text, because I can't imagine the writers came up with that.
These roses pale beside thee.
Well, I don't think it is. I think he's just talking in a Shakespearean manner.
But it sounds very good.
It sounds like shit.
Yeah, but Shakespeare sounds like shit, to be fair, doesn't it? But I mean, it sounds like it is written by Shakespeare or something.
I think it's
trying to be it's poetic.
This must be what they mean by poetic justice.
But I think it's just like such poorly written, isn't it? It's like, oh, how do we make it seem romantic?
'Tis only but me, my love.
Do you think if you spoke like that about anything, you could make it sound romantic?
I think I spoke that to my wife. She was like, what the fuck are you on about?
But what are you thinking about?
No.
In charming someone.
An ode to my asshole.
Yeah, I know.
The sunlight does glisten off your eyes.
Yeah, like, yeah. I'm not going to be led down a path that I'm not going to be able to get out of.
I've got this a bit of your Shakespearean swooning.
No. I just wonder how crass you could be if you say it in a Shakespearean sort of accent.
Oh, yeah. Will thou eat thy arse?
Could you get a Shakespearean porn?
Yeah,
I'm sure.
I bet there is.
I mean, it's pretty niche, isn't it?
Well, I bet there's a market for it.
Oh, 100%.
Well,
there must be. I mean, I don't know if I'd watch it, but I'm just saying it.
You can watch any old shit.
You won't even watch Stranger Things.
Bravo! Hardcore! Throwing like wooden dildos on the stage or something.
Too many splinters.
Anyway.
So, Selina comes out, sees all this, does some horrid witchcraft and possesses all the fair ides, but then I think Supergirl comes out of nowhere and throws a load of fucking cast iron rods or something.
Oh yeah.
And she pens in the witch. There's no way that was any kind of scripted spell that she made to bend those iron bars that she was trapped in.
I like that when they all bent.
Oh, the effect was great, but it was like, you know, right, Faye, just say something, and she was like, Haka lama skoo. And they're just like,
How do you think they did that?
Yeah, it's
because
weird.
they look pretty good.
They're probably inflatable or something.
Yeah, I would say
yeah, of course. Yeah.
No, they'd have to be foam, like the floaties in pools that would bend, because inflatable would kink somewhere, wouldn't it? You'd see that, and this bends in a perfect.
Or you have like a stick inside it and you pull that stick down. And
I don't know, they're quite well timed, and the sound effect makes it look and sound really good.
One of the better effects in the film.
And while she's distracted with that, she breaks the dodgem free and bursts through the roof.
And he's been knocked out, hasn't he?
He gets knocked out again, doesn't he, by going through the roof?
Yeah, he's knocked out. Yeah, she wakes him up, flies through the roof, and he gets knocked out again. Yeah. And then when she lands, he wakes up and a fucking coconut hits him on the head and knocks him out again. He's knocked out like 3 times. This is why he's so fucking thick. Is because he's fucking suffered severe head trauma.
Continuously throughout his life.
He's like Simpson, keeps getting smashed on the head. He probably fucking died a week after.
I've been hit by a fucking coconut.
Well, it's a magic coconut as well, isn't it?
Fucking head. Well, he would have like literally exploded.
And not just that, if that roof of the dodgems could have knocked him out, it made contact. What's she thinking? Fucking flying him up there. His head could have,
through this roof.
He would have looked like a fucking shredded cabbage.
I mean, it's metal beams as well for a start. So if he's going through metal beams and it's enough to hit him to knock him out, that would kill him alone. Yeah. Because he's having a fucking solid fucking 2x4 or whatever it is.
He's had a shit couple of days, isn't he?
Terrible.
So anyway, they're on the beach.
But now she's Supergirl.
Yes.
And she gets that coconut and she like puts some on her fingers, like fingers his mouth with the fucking coconut. It's a bit like, what's that about? She's found this alien fruit and been like, oh yeah, have some of this. He's asleep.
Very primate, wasn't wasn't it?
That bit was like, what?
This is the point where he twigs, doesn't he? He kisses her, and I think then it's kind of like, oh.
Because he's very in love with Linda, but he's pretty fucking quick to have a smooch with Supergirl.
Well, Supergirl instigated
that. Supergirl instigated that. She starts like stepping forward, doesn't she? She sort of instigates that kiss. I think she thinks that by kissing him, he will know that it's...
and he does a bit, doesn't he?
He knows it's her,
You'd hope so, because it's a bit like, I'll just see what you're like, and if you're better, then I'll forget about it. He might not know.
Maybe. Like Love Island.
Yeah, he only knows when he's kissed her, but he's still going to give it a try.
He couldn't have stopped her anyway.
Well, no, but he could have said, you can't do this, and then she'd be like, Gardner, come here. And then he'd be like, oh, holy shit, it's you.
You ain't stopping Supergirl if she wants to kiss you.
She wants to do anything to you.
It would be the reverse of those two guys in the truck.
You could not stop her.
I wouldn't want to stop her.
You'd be like,
Would you want, I mean, if you were to bed Supergirl, you kind of want her to chuck you about a bit.
Well, you wouldn't be able to satisfy her, would you?
No.
There's a
definitely
part,
not.
Be pretty limp.
Part at the beginning where she crushes that rock when she's testing her skin.
Would you like her to crush your plum?
Can you imagine that? Like,
Yeah, so this is the point now where Selena has let Nigel in. He's explained about this wand that he's got that is also evil. They stand side by side and basically they hold out this omegahedron and this wand at the same time, and this does make the gardener Ethan disappear.
But he disappears like a cut. Like it's like Rent a Ghost or something.
Yeah. And I think it did even make that like.
The love interest, Peter Cook, she kisses him, doesn't she? And when she pulls away, he's like now old, but he only looks like 5 years older.
He's not that much older. Yeah. It's just like he's got a dirty suit on.
He's got a dirty suit and he's got a bit of talcum powder in his hair, and like that literally is all that he's aged.
He looks like a shit Halloween costume.
He does, like a shit vampire.
Yeah.
He looks like that Reg Varney or whatever it is from fucking On the Buses.
No, his mate.
His
conductor,
mate. Yeah, like really fucking creepy looking. I don't know, it's really weird.
Yeah.
He's got a real 70s look, isn't he?
Yeah, it's that grey, like wiry fucking, like the dude from Phantasm or something.
Yeah.
So yeah, Selena the Witch means business now. So not only does she teleport Ethan to her, she's also now created some fortress on a mountain that she's dumped in the middle of this tiny town, and she seems to have an army of people that were like
a fascist army.
The bad guys from Moonwalker. They look like.
Yeah.
Who are those guys?
Nobody knows.
Motorbike riding and motorcycle fucking leathered up
enthusiasts.
Yeah.
At one point, she's just driving through the streets with a like fascist entourage. It's like it's fucking crazy.
And they've all made signs.
Yeah, people
like get out of our fucking town.
This is like in space of a couple of hours. Yeah. This has happened.
We don't need you. Technically, she hadn't done anything. She might be there to promote like prosperity in that town. Or
she's put a massive tourist attraction of this giant rock.
What I'm thinking now is they were making those signs. They were ready for that rock, but what were they making the signs for before? She wasn't even there.
No,
they were just making signs as a project, just in case they had something to protest against.
Maybe they just protested something before this film, and they were like, "Well, paint over that. Let's repaint these." Right, they had the signs kicking about.
Right.
It's an ever ongoing protest in that town.
So, what's next? So anyway, these fascist guards start sort of like strong arming everybody around. But here comes Supergirl again, and she flies vertically up that hill. Did you see her?
Yeah.
I think she's not fucking about. She goes straight up, smashes through this stained glass window, and straight into the trap that General Zod fell into. They trapped him in that glass sphere, didn't they?
Yeah.
And she ends up
terrifying.
She ends up in one of those. But I don't know whether Zod and other people who ended up in that, is that their version of the Phantom Zone? Because
it's like a vehicle to take you to the Phantom Zone.
But they were just perpetually spinning though. Whenever you saw Zod and his two cronies in their film, they weren't anywhere. They were just like,
well, the Phantom Zone is, that's what they do.
But this is a very real sort of like place. This looks like she's been sent somewhere because it's got a structure on it.
So when she gets there though, Faye Dunaway's got the love interest tied up and she's getting all like,
yeah, it's very Pulp Fiction sort of gimpy.
And then the Supergirl gets dragged into the Phantom Zone. She doesn't have any powers, does she, when she gets it? And then she falls in that quicksand.
Well, this is it. So she falls in that fucking swamp, quicksand.
That terrified me.
She is fucking caked in viscous fluid.
It's gross.
He pulls her out of it.
Zoltar!
And she's almost spotless. But when she gets out, there's no way that she could have got clean.
Yeah, it would have been better actually if her hair had been all fucked and she was all like sort of dirty, I think, for this.
The dirtier, the better.
I like it dirty.
Well, it's a bit inexplicable, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
So he said she'd be covered and she'd stink.
It cuts to like 5 minutes later and she's just a little bit of grime on one side of her face.
Yeah, I didn't even really think about that. Yeah, bollocks to that.
So Zoltar, who's been banished to the Phantom Zone,
by himself
from the quicksand.
And how did he get there if she nicked the only mode of transport?
Well, they would have sent him in one of those things, wouldn't they?
But anyway, good for her because he was there and just hanging out, and now he's got a bit of company. And I don't know what the fuck he's drinking, but he just keeps saying the word squirt.
Squirt.
which would not wash today. It is literally like that.
Squared.
When you go to like Spain and you get that photo with a bloke tipping the drink into your mouth, it's
With
always
a dildo.
It's always one of those like little sort of spout things. It's like a glass vase with a weird spout and a squeezy thing on the end, and he just squirts it into his mouth, and then he's like, squirt.
Squirt.
The fuck is that about?
He's been brewing some sort of booze, hasn't he? He's found something to get him pissed while he's out of it.
Do you reckon he's recycling his own piss?
Something about there's not a lot
He's
of good
gone
stuff
mad.
there, is
Squared.
there? Yeah.
That's why you're in.
Yeah. Who fucking knows what's in it? Where did he get it from? Like, where did he get that fucking thing he's decanting it from?
Well, he is a bit mad.
Made it with his wand.
It was like, you get to take one thing with you. He's like, joke's on you.
Squared.
It turns out there is a way out of the Phantom Zone, but it is up this sheer wall that has a little tornado running around inside it. And he gives her a pep talk and they decide to take it on together. And she's doing all this fucking motivating for him. It turns out, like, you know, the sort of student has become the teacher kind of thing. And you're like, oh, okay. And she's like, we can do it. We'll get there. And then she goes out and she's like, there, 5 seconds. She's like, I can't do this. She's like, help me.
There's some really weird dialogue in this bit.
Come with me.
I am with you. He's so fucking
And then
great.
the thing
He's shit.
Oh, that's
No,
it.
I mean, he's so hammy though in this whole bit.
Oh,
It's
he's
fucking
hamming it
amazing.
up. Because Faye Dunaway does that spells because she can see this going on. She's sending like fireballs and shit to fucking stop them.
Oh, yeah, she's not making it easy.
Yeah, he's like, I am with you. And then she climbs a bit ahead, and then the big like tornado comes towards him, and it's like he just lets it get him, and he goes, I am with you.
I am with you.
And it fucking takes him off. It's like, what? It doesn't make any sense. That
It's
bit.
just the quickest way they could write him out.
It's
And it was
bollocks.
like, he didn't even have to go there in the first place, and yet he's banished himself, and now he's thrown himself to his death.
But it made no sense because he didn't sacrifice himself for her.
No, he just let go.
He just like let it hit him, and he's like he didn't even keep on climbing. There was such a needless sacrifice.
Maybe he knew that she needed his death to give her the strength to continue with the fight for good.
I think he needed to be on another set by 7 o'clock at night.
He did go off like starfishing it through like the vortex, didn't he?
He was falling for fucking.
He didn't move. He was just like spread out completely, just like spinning in the middle like one of those little windmill things. Like.
Do you think he was just falling then for like?
I think he was lay on the floor in the
Days.
studio just doing that. Like,
I mean, imagine that was how you died. You were just falling, so you just
You'd be falling for like a week or something
about a
before
week
you
before
died.
you completely died, wouldn't you? Just fucking.
Because
falling.
you'd reach terminal velocity at some point when you'd be like, oh, you wouldn't be going any faster.
You'd just be like pissing, shitting, you know, as you're falling, because there's nothing else you could do. What would you do? You
Go to sleep.
Well, you got a week to kill.
You
What
probably would
do?
fall asleep, wouldn't you? And then you wake up again.
Would you knock one out? You're gonna die. Would you be as you're falling? You know.
That might be difficult, I reckon.
Well, you got so much time to kill, haven't you?
it depends which way. I mean, if you're facing down cock first,
Trouble.
it's blowing right into you, innit? But you gotta get ass towards the.
But you don't want
bricks,
air going up your arsehole either.
Maybe you do.
Well, maybe
maybe you do.
It's like a gentle massage.
Oh, it won't be gentle though, because can you imagine, like,
Oh, it would tear you a new one, wouldn't
as
it?
an
Yeah.
older chap, my testes are like down by my fucking ankles anyway. And you imagine
They're flapping around.
it would be like fucking.
Jesus.
It'd be like when you fucking try to bring like a sunken ship from the bottom of the ocean with those inflatable balls. Like, it's like
Would they slow your fall down? They act like some, you know, when a
parachute.
When a dragster fires a parachute at the back, your testes are just like slow your fall to a stop.
oh man, shit.
Do you reckon that's how he survived? He used his testes as some makeshift.
That's a fanciful tale.
So anyway, Zoltar jumps voluntarily into the vortex and spins off. She uses this death to
Invigorate herself.
yeah, and she starts to climb and she makes it and she gets out over the
But
top.
she flies out, and it's like, well,
It's
at
don't
what
don't
point
even
could you
go
fly,
there.
love?
Pick
Could you
him up,
Yeah,
fly out.
yeah. She turns around and sees him die, yeah, and just flies down the fucking hole.
There is a multitude of other ways that vortex could have ended,
Yeah,
but I really think their money ran out and that was it. It was like lie on your back.
yeah.
Green screen, we've done it. Cheers, thank you. So anyway, she flies out, full of vigour and completely clean. She busts back into the fortress, lands full on Supergirl pose, like, you know, hands on hips. She's giving it the big un. Selina's now got the gardener, Jimmy, Nigel and Lucy Lane suspended from the
in
metal
those balls,
balls
yes, yeah,
from
yeah,
the ceiling, and she gets some spikes to appear through the floor.
Well, first
It
of all, she
looks
makes all
now-
the floor go wobbly, and she's like, "Whoa!" She's on the floor, and it's like, "So you can fucking fly? What? It doesn't matter if the floor's
Hover
wobbly. Just
an inch.
Yeah, above it. I can't believe nobody there filming it didn't point that out, but she can fly. So making the floor a bit wobbly, that's a shit.
The tiles were moving like a massive version of Screwball Scramble, weren't they?
Yeah.
Like, and all like
Marble
that. And
Madness.
And they had some sort of awesome lighting rig underneath it as well.
It was quite a good effect.
It was
actually one of the better effects.
It did look very molten-y. I was worried for her.
Yeah.
So yeah, Supergirl's on for it. Like, she goes towards her, but she summons that beast again. So it's back, and it's bad, it's big. Basically, she gets picked up and starts getting stretched by this thing, doesn't she?
It's like she's 2D stretched.
It's awful. The special effects.
The effect on that was mad.
You've got like this really blurry puppet monster, and I think they've only made it blurry because it looks so shit.
It looks like a crow or something. It's got like a beak, hasn't it? I think.
Is this anything to do with the demon in the mirror earlier?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
This is the force that Selena has been trying to get, isn't it? This
is also the thing that the box that the ball was in has been turning into as well.
Yeah, it's been turning into like an effigy of that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
That's what I think.
Yeah, I never thought about that. I wondered. I thought it looks quite weird, but I never wondered where they got the inspiration from.
Tits and a dick, like.
Snake dick.
So they do a bit of it trying to stretch it, but it's such a bad effect. Like, you've got the hands of the puppet, like, monster thing, and then she's just been superimposed over the top, just stretching.
But she's been, like, cropped badly as well.
Fucking shit, man. It's such a poor special effect. It's so bad, I can't believe it made the final cut. It would have been better off having, like, a puppet of her or something. That was bad.
It was a very sort of cheap get out, wasn't it? It was weird, but it avoided a whole battle, and it turns out again, as she's in the middle of being stretched to as far as she can go in an honest way.
You ever stretched anyone in an honest way?
She's been stretched from the outside. What does she hear? He's like, "You can do it," or something.
Yeah. It's all Tar.
It's like, "I am with you."
Well, he doesn't say that. I was like, is it going to be a callback to that shit line? And he'll say that, but he doesn't even say. He says something else.
He's like, "Don't forget the milk on Saturday." And she's like,
squirt.
Yes. And whatever he says to her, she's like, "Fuck, I'm ready for this." And she busts free, and that was enough. Now the battle's between her and the witch, and it's like, right, fucking hell, who's going to have it here? Not to worry, Supergirl massively disproportionately. Like, you're supposed to just forgive the fact that they're only about 20 foot away from each other, but she flies at her and starts a mini tornado. But
she shrinks.
She becomes about fucking 4 inches tall.
She shrinks to make a tiny little.
To make it proportionally correct for the tornado to start around her feet, she had to be like the size of a forearm. So she flies at her. It's like she's 20 miles away, but she's not. She's across the room.
The thing is that she could have like fucking punched her through the room. She could have blasted her with her laser eyes. She could have done it with her frosty ice breath. How did she know that she can shrink and then decide to fly in a whirlwind?
Was the shrinking on purpose? Was that not just like a terrible effect?
It was. It wasn't intentional.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to think like, what the fuck? But yeah, she becomes this mini person-sized tornado, which becomes bigger and bigger and bigger. But anyway, she traps Selena in that, and then she starts whisking around the room. She picks up her henchwoman as well. You hear that?
Yeah. I mean, their relationship was one of the better things of the film, and it was quite comedic and tongue-in-cheek, and I think every scene they were in was quite watchable.
But she was in a sitcom when the rest of them were trying to be in a film.
Yeah. But that kind of worked because the film was so ridiculous.
That was it. So that, like, being the lead villain, it made it more watchable because, like, you could tell the people who could act it were kind of like being a bit like, "Yeah, all right, mate, I'll give you." Yeah, she's picked up Selena, she's picked up the henchwoman, and she uses the inertia from the tornado and flings them into the beast. So, because she's been beaten by her own spell, I guess that kind of wraps it all up, and there you go, Supergirl has won.
So they all get released from their cages, don't they? Where they've got the love interest and them.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure how Nigel, because, like, you know, he's 50% responsible for this, for bringing the wand into it, but yeah, his one redemption was that he's like, confront her with the spell, that's the only thing that'll beat her, like, you know.
Yeah.
And she does it, but for that, he doesn't get sucked up in the tornado. It's kind of like, all right,
yeah, he got away with it, didn't he? Yeah.
All's forgiven, and it's kind of like, well, mate, you wouldn't have had half as trouble without him.
He is still a school teacher that practices black magic and, you know, was part of this fascist regime.
He's going to be struck off after that, surely.
There's going to be an investigation at the school, I think.
You are fired!
I mean,
about him and the fucking gardener.
Yeah, fucking...
Yeah. And fucking Jimmy Olsen, pedo.
Yeah, well, that's it. So they all get released, and then Jimmy Olsen is like feverishly getting off with Thingy in the corner. And Supergirl and Ellis from Die Hard have a chat, and they go to kiss, but they don't, do they?
But the thing is, he's still a little bit like, oh, you know... But he realises that there's a...
That she's like a school kid in his 30s.
And he's kind of like, you know what, yeah. So let's leave it there.
This ain't cool, like, I don't want to be that guy.
This ain't cool, yeah? Fucking taking his match anklet.
You know, she says her goodbyes, everybody's safe, everybody's happy. She's got what she needed, the Omega Hedron back, and she flies out, and the next we see of her, she's fucking heading into the sea this time.
But as she flies out, the whole castle and the rock just vanish, don't they?
Just go.
And then just like, again, it's just like a cut, done, it's gone. And then everyone that was in it appears on the ground, and like Jimmy Olsen's still getting off with it. It's really weird that it's just like sort of happening.
I think those biker guys are still around, aren't they, as well? Is nobody,
yeah, maybe.
Is
Yeah,
nobody going to be
people are still in the streets and that.
Right, you fuckers.
They turned real quick.
They did. They'd be like,
Yeah.
Take that helmet off, yeah.
I suppose the good thing was they were wearing helmets, weren't they? So you could pretty much take your helmet off and no one would ever know, would they?
Fucking Phil, is that you bastard?
if like a fascist fucking witch regime sort of took over now, you know there's some fucking twats out there that would just straight up join, wouldn't they? You know, those fucking those sort of dickheads exist, don't they, sadly?
So she re-enters her dimension or whatever it is by going back through the sea. But in this one, it's more like the Little Fucking Mermaid, isn't it? She's going through the sea, and
as a kid, I thought in this they lived in the sea. It was
This
only
is-
watching
this
it
is
as
very
an adult I
confused.
realised this interdimensional thing, but she doesn't even use that vehicle to get back.
No.
She flies into the water and she's back into another dimension. This is from the guy that directed Somewhere in Time, so
Oh,
you've got to
damn
bear that in mind. He's like, you know, his idea of time travel was you could lay down and.
It wasn't his idea.
It wasn't his idea, no. But he
Sadly, I've done a bit more research about Somewhere in Time since. And the bloke who wrote it fell in love with the painting. And that was the story about what he wanted to do to get to the woman in the painting.
fucking hell.
He fell in love with the... Who was
The writer of the book fell in love with the painting in real life.
Wow.
And that's what he wanted.
What a love
that
letter.
is fucking
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, it's all well and good looking at a picture and think that's attractive.
I mean, it's not even that nice a picture. I'm going to show it on the screen now. But
There
you,
it
you
is.
can take
Look
my,
at that, like.
you can
Yeah,
take my
yeah.
word.
Wouldn't
Fucking
fall in love
hell.
with that.
Yeah.
Hey.
So yeah, so then she flies off back to her own dimension. You get like a final shot of a little pocket reality they live in, don't you?
She must have a front door, because otherwise she's going to fuck the defences again. But yeah, she gets in somehow, and the city lights up.
And they're like, where have you fucking been? You've been in school, having lessons. You've been getting off with this 30-year-old man.
Yeah.
We've been dying over here with a big hole in the side of our thing.
Yeah, she sowed her wild oats, is what she did.
Yeah.
Everybody else be darned.
So the music we haven't talked about yet.
Fucking hell. They got their fucking money's worth.
Jerry
out of that theme
Goldsmith. Well, I mean, he's doing a homage, really, to John Williams' theme, isn't it?
It's alright.
It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but fuck me, they played it every opportunity they could.
Yeah, it did. By the end of the film, it's like fucking that fucking song. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's not as good as Superman.
No.
But if they played it less, I would actually think that is quite a good theme.
So Jerry Goldsmith did soundtrack for Alien, Star Trek, Gremlins, and also the Universal logo.
Fucking hell. Wow, they need some royalties for that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, maybe they were like, here's a grand, but we won't ever talk about it again.
Oh, why? You wouldn't want to get one lump from that, would you? You want every time it's
You want 1p when it happens.
Yeah. Fuck. Yeah, you do.
It took 14 million.
Piss.
14 million?
Yeah.
How much did it cost to make?
I don't know.
It's a poor film, isn't it? But they released it really weirdly, I think. They released it in England first.
They released it like a couple of weeks before America, didn't they?
A couple of months. It was like...
Was it that long?
But what it was, I think in '84, didn't they have like the fucking Olympics or something in America?
Yes.
There was some big sporting thing.
They were like, we didn't release it in the summer because of this sporting event. Oh, it was athletics, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was it.
And then they didn't want to release it at Christmas. There was a lot of arguing going on about how they should release and how they should promote it and everything.
So they put it out in Britain in the summer because we didn't have that athletic thing going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, it flopped because it's shit.
But I mean, also, when you're younger and more innocent, you think that things are there to entertain you, not to make money. Do you know what I mean? It's like there's films with a cliffhanger ending, and Bill's like, "Daddy, I can't wait for they do the next one." They're not going to do another one like that. It fucking flopped.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
yeah,
But he's
yeah.
like, "No, they are. They said at the end." Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? When you're younger, you don't realise that this film only exists because people were making money out of Superman 2, and they were like,
Yeah.
"Right, we're going to make this film now." And it's like a very early something like the Avengers. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah, I'm sure if it had been successful, you probably would have seen
You'd
a
have-
Superman in a film.
other shit like that, wouldn't you?
So I know the writer wrote The Dark Crystal, and he
Yes.
also wrote Masters of the Universe.
Did he? That makes sense. Is that a shit?
It's like I do hate to keep harking back to this one example of like She-Ra and He-Man, but it's like when you hear the music for She-Ra, when you know like He-Man had Orko and She-Ra had that weird owl thing, and like He-Man had Battle Cat.
She had a
and-
unicorn.
and it was just like, when I watched that, and it was like you felt a bit cheated. You're like, this isn't anything, it's just something trying to be He-Man.
Well, She-Ra is what killed He-Man, wasn't it?
Yeah.
She-Ra, I reckon when She-Ra came out, that's when He-Man's popularity
The
dipped.
credibility.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just cashing in wherever they can, isn't it?
Well, I mean, look what came after this then in Superman's terms. It was a fucking quest for peace. Fuck that.
Yeah. So what else do we like or not like about this film?
I loved this film when I was a kid, like, you know, to the point where I was excited to watch this, and I'll probably keep this on a memory stick, actually, just as a nice childhood memory, but, you know, what a bag of shit.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, how are we going to explain this? Don't worry about it.
I was on board with it for the first quarter, but then you realise there's no story apart from some misunderstanding that she's...
It's two birds after a bloke.
But
One woman after a
not
bloke
even-
and one woman trying to save him.
Not even like a realistic bloke, but literally just a handyman who happened to be on by the side of the
Yeah.
road. There's no... What? Do you know what I mean?
The whole, like, school thing is unnecessary. It's like there was no payoff. When she gets into school, I was like, in my head, I was thinking, oh, fuck, do we have a bit of like a Clueless type thing now where actually she's Supergirl, but she's this unpopular, nerdy girl? I think that would have been fucking cool. Do you know what I mean? I bet that would have been quite interesting to have this nerdy girl in school, but secretly she's got superpowers. But they don't really do anything with that storyline whatsoever. There's no point
She
in it.
used it as somewhere to sleep.
She could have gone to college, though, or, you know, she could have been an adult. She could have passed. The school was just weird.
Oh, weird. But she could have done fucking anything, but wherever it was, it should have had some impact.
I don't know if it's innocent or seedy. I really don't. You know, when I watched it, it made complete sense because all these people were bigger and older than me.
I suppose it was to get kids to relate to her. That's probably why they did it.
Yeah. And a lot of it was just so coincidence-led. Nothing was like, oh, this happened because this happened because this happened. It was all like, this happened.
It's
Then
just
this happened.
something's happening.
Yeah.
It's happening, Richard.
And it's all just coincidences. Everything's, it just happened to land next to a witch.
Yeah.
And then they just happened to bump into his love interest. It was all just ridiculous.
It's kind of interesting, but I mean, like, was she like a magnet for it? Because the thing is, this Omegahedron, was it a coincidence? I'm not saying it wasn't, but, you know, it's kind of like, it is a coincidence it lands near this witch, but she is a practicing black magic sort of creator. Is it attracted to her power?
Yeah, is it an evil ball?
Not an evil ball. I think it just like, amplifies whatever you
It
are.
was just, like it could have been hunting down power and she was...
It's a bit of a slag really.
all
It'll
they
take
had to
power
do-
where it can get it.
If they put in like a scene with that Zoltar in the Phantom Zone where he confessed to her, said, oh yeah, well I saved this bit of Krypton, but I did it because I ended up having to use this really dark artifact, and then he confesses that it is like demonic and that's how he saved them. That's why he's been acting like a twat about it, because he's always felt bad because it is this demonic entity sort of thing. That would have connected everything together and actually given it a bit more of like,
because that ball was going back to its source power, and that witch just happened to be the closest
the
one.
conduit.
Yeah, and then that Zoltar was behaving like that because he felt guilty for using that dark magic to save, and that would have given his character a bit more depth and made the story a lot better as well.
Hey, here's an interesting fact. Peter O'Toole was offered a knighthood, but he rejected it because he was against Margaret Thatcher's policies.
What a guy.
I would rather not be a sir, thank you.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, you don't get many actors like that anymore, do you? Really, like that sort of level of
Integrity.
yeah, and just that old sort of Shakespearean type. I mean, you've got like Ian McKellen, I suppose, and Patrick Stewart.
I've seen it all.
It's like old Hollywood, though, isn't it? Like the fucking Charlton Hestons
Michael
and all that
Caine.
sort of stuff.
All right, we'll score it up then. So I guess Tarby, you can go first, mate, because it was your pick. So what are you going to score? Supergirl.
You give it a 10 and because he picked it.
Can we not make this one to 11? So, I don't like Helen Slater's appearance. I don't know what it is.
She grew on me during this.
Yeah. She's got a nice voice, but it's just her face in general, though. I don't know. She always looks quite like she's just asked a question.
She's got big eyes.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. I don't know. But anyway...
Has that influenced your score, is it?
No, but there's one. You can't help whether you connect with the character or like the character, and because of that, I don't properly always encourage her to be the, winning the fights. It's kind of like, do something more interesting. But she's
with
very
weird eyes.
Yeah, weird big eyes.
No, they're
anyway,
not weird. She's got like those lovely big eyes.
Yeah, no, they are. They are very nice. But maybe that's what it is. I don't know what it is. But anyway.
Something in her eyes repulses you.
Okay, but after that, her costume's great. That does look good. But there is just, again, a lot of questions that just
about her eyes.
That they glossed over. That it looks like a lot of it was rushed.
Well, there was that big chunk from when she arrived, showing her training herself for half an hour, which they cut out.
I don't know if that would have made it more interesting. I think
I didn't. That's why they cut it out. But it explains a lot of why there seems like there's scenes missing.
Do you reckon there was a scene of her learning how to shrink herself and make a tornado?
There was a scene of her learning how to crush that rock.
So, yeah, it's a very kind of throwaway film. But for pure nostalgia, it's getting a 6 from me.
Yeah, glad I got to rewatch it again, because I think I only did ever see it once as a kid. so it's been fucking years. I mean, it's not funny. I liked the two witches. I thought they were pretty good. Visually, it's fucking terrible. It just seems like a very cheap film. Just a tad above like a fucking sitcom looking sort of thing.
They live in a ghost train.
They live in a ghost
What
train.
the fuck?
It's like Scooby-Doo, isn't it? Like, fucking hell, man.
And it's active as well. She actually comes bursting out the doors in one scene.
Yeah, she rides.
And it's like,
One day goes by.
What the fuck that going
Oh,
on?
it'd be fucking cool to live in a ghost train.
It'd be fun for a week or something, and it'd be like fucking really
so impractical.
shit.
Imagine bringing your fucking shopping in. Like, you're having to
A fucking skeleton arm just coming out and grabbing yours. I mean, fuck off, Terry.
Yeah. So with all of that, I mean, I'm going to give it a 5. Yeah, it's a 5.
Mm-hmm. I was thinking 5. I gave it that point for memories.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna give it a 5 as well, because of all the reasons we've just talked about.
Fair.
Yeah, I was going to give it a 4 because I do think it's very badly written, very badly directed. There's a couple of good performances in it. The special effects are fucking shit. There's so many plot holes in it. But the only thing I'll give it an extra point for is, like Al mentioned, for some reason, there's bits of this film which are just really ingrained in my memory. Like, I remember the bumper car with the 3 heads of the American things. And,
it's quite menacing, that is.
Yeah, a lot of the production design, like the boxes, and I remember those really vividly. And for some reason, I it's quite like seeing those things again. So
it's got some early 80s charm.
Yeah.
This is why, if you watch a film like you have with a blank canvas, so I mean, it's kind of like I said, I do get on board with what you said about the bumper cars, but it's like seeing that robot when that woman gets trapped in all these wires and it's like something will happen to you that you can never capture unless you were there like at a certain time. It's kind of like those bumper cars. I do remember now you said, I was like, oh yeah, fuck, because they're in like a scrum pose, aren't they, with gritted teeth, and it was a bit menacing.
Well, I thought it was a 3-headed fucking football player when I was a kid.
Yeah.
But so weird things like that of the productions I quite like in a nostalgic way, so that will give it an extra point. So yeah, I'll give it a 5.
Okay.
I think it's worth a watch.
It's middle of the road, isn't it?
Yeah.
The very middle.
Yeah.
She flies weird.
Who watched it?
She ain't great at flying.
I think it was too bad.
Yeah, but she does all this like weird hand like.
She's more airy fairy than Reeves was, isn't she? He was quite powerful with his flying. She's a bit more like.
But again, that's the whole thing. That was just like, let's go the polar opposite. Same powers, different things. Like, he doesn't have to be gruff and blah.
I don't know if you watch it, but there's a cartoon, DC Superhero Girls, on Netflix.
Alright, gay.
And their depiction of Supergirl's brilliant. She's way more like rebellious, like a little bit punky, but not in like a crap way. And they've done a really, really good in that. She's got her own character where she hates Superman. She thinks he's a twat. She's always sort of showing off, and that's a far better depiction, I think, of Supergirl than what's in this film. And originally she was going to have a headband on.
Yes, I saw a picture of that.
Yeah, and in like a red headband, because they modified the costume for the 80s, and they notified DC Comics, who changed the comic book outfit of the character. But then by the time the film came out, they're like, "No, we ditched it." But they'd already done it in the comics, and they had to like change it back.
But that would have been cashing in on Wonder Woman.
Yeah,
she
looked like Wonder Woman.
Yeah, fuck that. That's a good job.
It was like a weird red like sweatband.
It was just like Ryu's fucking headband.
Yeah.
I hope Sense won out in that, because if you sat down and you were like, why would she be wearing a headband? I don't know, freaking sweat. No, she don't sweat. It's like keep her hair out of her eyes. Like, what the fuck?
There's lots of questions.
That's not very super, is it? So that would have looked fucking stupid, and I would have, no.
But anyway, if you guys out there, give it a watch, see what you think. So that was Supergirl. So we've only got 1 year left.
And whose go is it, Tone?
And it's my go.
Yeah.
So yeah, I get to pick the last one. The year I had, which we hadn't done yet, was 1981. So we're doing these VHS showdowns in blocks of 10. So this is effectively our last sort of episode. So 1981. There's a few things I could have gone with, but I really thought, well, it's the last episode. We've done like some obscure stuff. We've done some things we like. And I thought, well, if we're going to go out, let's go out on a bang. So 1981, I picked Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So if we're going to go out, let's go out big.
Yeah, why not? Why wouldn't you?
Last one.
Yeah.
Cool. So I'm sure most of you at home, if you're listening to this podcast, I'd be fucking shocked if you have not seen that film.
If you have not eaten like a fig or a cracker at Christmas and sat down with a can of cider and watched it.
Fucking hell.
Really painting a picture there, Toby. Of
a fig and a cracker and a can of cider.
I thought you were going to go down some bad dates.
I thought you were going to do a bad dates guy.
No, I was just thinking Christmas things, but I didn't want to.
Just showing us fig about your alcoholism, your drinking problem.
Bad figs.
Who hasn't sat down had a fig and a can of cider and watched?
That's it.
8 o'clock in the morning.
Jones at 8 in the morning. Well, we've all been there.
That's a fucking weekend, that is.
I think should we all have to do that when we watch it? Everyone's got to buy a pack of figs and a can of cider.
And some crackers.
Who would turn a fucking fig?
Well, I'm thinking Christmassy things. I couldn't be like
A fig.
You grab some holly.
Oh,
and-
Merry Christmas. Here's a fig.
I couldn't be like you sit down with a can of cider and a fucking.
Why do you
fig.
have cider at Christmas?
Well, I don't know.
Good cider fucking all year round.
I don't know. Mulled cider then. I don't know.
Hot cider.
I was painting a Christmassy picture and it got railroaded. Fuck it.
That was like a Christmas picture from a man from the 30s or something. And we all had an egg.
Christmas is a barrel of laughter on your face.
You haven't figged until you've.
You got some figgy pudding. So really go all out.
Genuinely don't think I've ever actually tried fig.
Right, yeah,
Like
so
some figs in blankets.
get your figs and your cider and watch some Indiana Jones. And then next week we shall come back and discuss that absolute classic. So thank you everybody. That was SUPERGIRL, and let us know what you think in the comments of that. And make sure you watch Raiders of the Lost Ark before next week.
Yes.
Okay.
Cool.
See you then.
Bye.
Bye.
Snake dick
Snaky
on
dick.
my fucking demon tits.
Word.